Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the DFO DFS Report. It is Friday, November the 7th. Hope everyone's having a fine Friday. The old new intro is back. I could have sworn I cranked the volume way down, but that felt extremely loud. So let me know in the comments if that blew your eardrums out as much as it did mine. If it did, I apologize profusely. Zach is not here yet. He is coming. Just figured I'd get it started here, get through some of the other stuff before we get going. Yesterday was my wedding anniversary, so I only had time to build one lineup, and I smashed. I had a huge night last night. I was 5 points away from winning 10K, which would have been wild after we joked about somebody in the chat winning 10K. It was very close, but I had a very good night. So hopefully we can roll that into another good night tonight. Get everybody in the chat a big DFS night. So let's get into. We got a 4-game slate on this Friday. As I said, I'll welcome Zach in the second he gets here. But let's start with the goalies. David Riddick gets to start for the New York Islanders, projecting to see Jesper Wallstedt for the Minnesota Wild in the second half of a back-to-back for the Wild. The Detroit Red Wings will go with Cam Talbot. We're likely going to see Jonathan Quick for the New York Rangers. The Rangers, for whatever reason, seem to always go with Jonathan Quick against the Detroit Red Wings. And I looked it up, and he has started 4 of the 6 games against the Red Wings in the last 2 seasons since he joined the Rangers. Igor started the other 2. The Rangers have not lost one of those games. They're 6-0 in those 6 games. And Jonathan Quick is 4-0 with I think it was a 939 save percentage. So really good effort, Jonathan Quick against the Red Wings. What was your lineup last night? I broke even because Dallas goalie busted. So it was a bit of a weird lineup because I only built one. I kind of wanted to get all of my favorite plays into the lineup. I can try to pull it up here at some point in the show, but it was I went off Ben Kendall, just felt like a free space. Cutter Gauthier felt like a free space too, just such good value. Then I mini stacked Wyatt Johnston and Heiskanen and Rantanen, who just the 3 of them went insane. And then I also had a Jackson Blake, Nikolai Ehlers mini stack with Alexander Nikishin. I wanted Sean Walker, but he got pinched out due to salary. I had Vasilevsky between the pipes. So it was a pretty good lineup. It turned out to be anyways. So I wonder if I got it here somewhere. I might have the screenshot. No, I don't. Not readily available. Let's keep going with the goalies. We've got Dustin Wolf getting the start for the Calgary Flames. Spencer Knight likely for the Chicago Blackhawks. It'll be Alex Nedeljkovic for the San Jose Sharks, projecting to see Connor Hellebuck for the Winnipeg Jets. As far as I know, Beebs should be in the chat. He'll let us know if that was confirmed, but I don't think that it has been. Zach is here. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready, Zach. Okay, he is here. Welcome in, bud. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, buddy. Sorry about the little delay on my part here. Yeah, fun slate tonight, man. I'm looking forward to diving into this one.
No worries. I was just talking about how I had a big night and I went through the goalies, so you haven't really missed anything. If you want, you can get us started with the New York Islanders and Minnesota Wild. I will say, in terms of 4-game slates, obviously they're not all built equally. This one feels pretty good. We were joking in the DFS Discord earlier, like it's wild that the Islanders and Minnesota Wild looks like the highest event game on the slate. I bet the over yesterday. It was over 6 yesterday. That's been pushed all the way up to like over 6.5, like minus 110, I think. So the over has been pushed in a big way. It's over 6.5, yeah, minus 109 right now. So the highest implied total on the slate tonight. We've got the Islanders and the Wild. Take it away, Zach.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to see why once we kind of dive into things here tonight. Islanders is the home favorites on the money line, minus 150, 3.5 implied total for them, 2.9 for the Minnesota Wild. The New York Islanders are fun again. I've actually been having a lot of fun playing them so far this season. Looking at the line stacks for this game, Minnesota 1 grades out as the best line to target, number 2 overall, drawing about 6% ownership. New York Islanders top line grading out as the number 3 overall. Bo Horvat, Matthew Barzal, and Emil Heineman up there. Minnesota 2, 6th overall with Eriksson Ek, Marcus Johansson, and Matt Boldy. Worth noting, Matt Zuccarello returns to the lineup, sliding back up to that top line.
That is projected. Like it was sourced from one of their beat reporters, all expectations are that Zuccarello will be back on the top line with Rossi and Kaprizov. I think what happens with Johansson and Tarasenko is a little bit more up in the air. He seemed to think that Tarasenko would be the one that is bumped back to the third line the way Johansson has played recently. So we also don't know if Zook's going to take the top power play unit spot away from Tarasenko. Tarasenko's been pretty good there. So I projected Zuccarello back in on PP2, but just so you know, it's not necessarily set in stone, but it seems pretty likely that Zook will be reunited with his buddy Kaprizov.
Awesome. Well, I kind of like that here. I've liked him on that top line in the past. We'll see what happens with that power play stack, of course. But the beauty is that this is the first game of the night. So we'll be able to build our lineups accordingly in the half hour before lock once we do get confirmed lines. Minnesota coming in with the better matchups here in this game tonight. 71 matchup score for that top line, 77 for number 2, 80 for number 3, 90 for number 4. Don't play the fourth line. Never play fourth lines. But I've got interest in kind of getting to both sides of this game here tonight. Evidently, the Islanders top line kind of got the worst matchup here on the night, but this is a line that's really been chugging along. Emil Heineman has quietly been tremendous up there on that top line. He's just $3,400, probably one of the better value plays on this slate, in my opinion. 8.7 shots on goal per hour of ice time, 1.6 goals per hour of ice time. Bo Horvat obviously chugging along offensively at a great clip, great shot volume, good scoring, good expected goal numbers. Matthew Barzal is the one that we really want to see kind of stepping it up here. He's shooting 11% on the year, a little bit low for him. 6.5 shots on goal per hour of ice time. He's not really generating a whole lot out there either. 0.9 individual expected goals per hour. The rest of this lineup, I think there's a little bit of reason to have interest in this third line. I don't really love the second line as much for the Islanders here, really in any spot, to be totally honest. But this third line has quietly been really solid as well. The line stats have been awesome for this line here. If you look at it, 94.2, that is the best of any line on the slate tonight, tied with Detroit 4, believe it or not. So I think this third line for the Islanders poses a really interesting pivot option. They are drawing some ownership at 7.6% right now here, but Anders Lee continuing to have tremendous shot volume, 2.7 individual expected goals per hour versus 0.6 actual goals. He is shooting 5%. This is a guy, you've been talking about a guy like Nick Ehlers for a while, who it's kind of going to come around at some point. I feel like Anders Lee is kind of that same kind of player right now. So I've got interest in this top line and the third line on the Islanders side of things. In terms of Minnesota, I'm a little surprised to see the ownership as low as it is, considering how much steam this team has gotten over time. Is that due to the fact that the Islanders have been playing pretty solid hockey as of late? I'm not entirely sure, but it's worth noting that, for as offensively solid as the Islanders have been, defensively, it's still been a little bit of a train wreck here for them. The underlying metrics haven't been great, and even over their last 10 games, 2.91 expected goals against per hour, according to Natural Stat Trick. So I don't really have much issue in getting to a little bit of this Minnesota side as well here. Probably not going to be super high owned for me or anything like that, but I think they're an interesting play here on this slate, and they are coming in with a second ranked power play matchup tonight. This is an Islanders team that's shorthanded 3.4 times per game. So I don't mind attacking it through the power play here either in this spot.
Yeah, the power play is kind of really interesting on both sides of things. The one thing I like is that I finally added power play conversion and PK kill percentages here, because it does give you a little bit of a better picture than just like number 5. So the Islanders rank number 5 on the power play, but are converting at just 15.2%. So what that means is that they are generating an enormous amount of quality looks on the power play, but just haven't really been able to convert on them. So you'd like to think that the fortunes are going to turn here if they keep generating chances at that rate. And I think that tonight's matchup presents a really good opportunity for some of that positive regression to set in, because this is a Minnesota Wild penalty kill that is 30th in the league right now and killing just 68.8% of the time. So really good matchup here for the Islanders power play. Like you said, the top line doesn't have the greatest matchup at all, but it doesn't really matter. I really like Bo Horvat. I really like Matt Barzal together. I really like the over in this game. I think there's a lot of potential fireworks, because I do think that the Minnesota Wild are in a pretty good spot as well. But I think most of my focus is still going to come through this Horvat, Barzal, maybe a little bit of Heineman, Matthew Schaefer. But these three are the three that I'm really focused here on for the Islanders. You continue to talk about that third line, and they continue to impress with strong underlying metrics. I don't mind them as a value option. But in terms of overall upside, I do think, obviously, and the field agrees that it comes through Horvat and Barzal. Worth noting, they are fairly priced up tonight, quite expensive. They're climbing a little bit, I would say. And then on the Minnesota Wild side of things, we've seen Zuccarello and Kaprizov and Rossi have some success together in the past. The underlying metrics aren't necessarily outstanding for that trio. They're pretty good. The second line with Johansson, Boldy, and Eriksson actually have the better underlying metrics, which is interesting. So I think the Wild first and second line are both in play. And only 35 minutes together this year. Again, super small sample size, but Horvat and Barzal, 5.6 expected goals for per 60. That's insane. If you go back to last year, I'm getting a little sidetracked here, 3.3 expected goals for per 60. So, yeah, lots to like about that Islanders top line. The Minnesota, Wild, I do find it a little bit more tricky to figure out which one of these two lines to target, but at 5% ownership, I don't really think it matters. I think I'll have a pretty even split of both of them, and I think they're both in pretty equally good spots. The matchups are fairly similar, maybe a slight edge to that second line. I do think that second line might have a little bit better floor, too, right? The shot volume you get from Eriksson, the shot volume you get from Boldy, a little bit better than what you might get from somebody like Zuccarello and Marco Rossi. So I feel a little bit better about Minnesota 2 in this spot, but I don't mind Minnesota 1. Obviously, it's hard to kind of ever ignore Kirill Kaprizov. And then this is a Minnesota Wild power play that's just been unbelievable this year, right? 31% conversion rate. Obviously, they've been fairly fortunate. We've talked about that a lot, but still converting at 30%. It's hard to do. There's a lot of talent on that unit. They're going up against an Islanders PK that's been really, really poor this year. The Wild are projected for the second most, or tied for the third most power plays tonight. So I think there's a lot to like on that Minnesota power play. It's kind of a sprinkling of both units, right? You've got Eriksson and Boldy. You've got Kaprizov up there. So that is the real probably way to that real avenue to get to Minnesota is through this power play. The power play stacking seems to make the most sense this evening. So super interested in this game, interested in both sides of the puck in this one, because I do think when you take a look at some of these other games, I think it's fair to say that this is quite, obviously it's not the highest total and everything, and I'm not really, this isn't a hot take by any means, but you could see that Red Wings and Rangers game being fairly low scoring. The Red Wings have played in some pretty low scoring games recently. The Rangers, we know what they're dealing with in terms of scoring woes. The Blackhawks and Flames, I mean, that could be an extremely low event game. And then San Jose, Winnipeg, obviously there's going to be lots of fireworks potentially in that one, but it's not a foregone conclusion, right? I do think that this Islanders-Minnesota game is definitely the one due for the most fireworks, followed by that San Jose Winnipeg game. So I think getting a lot of exposure to this game makes a lot of sense. So do you have any final wrap-up thoughts here on the Islanders and Wild?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. I mean, I agree with you here. It does feel like the game that might have the highest offensive, potential. We'll talk about the goaltenders a little bit later. I do have some interest in David Riddick tonight as a lower-owned goaltending option, but that'll be a story for about 15 minutes from now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to. Where are the Sharks? Can you believe? Okay, so in terms of 5v5 expected goals against per Sports Logic, the Sharks are the best defensive team on the slate tonight.
What a world we live in, man.
San Jose is 17th. Calgary's 18th. The Islanders are 19th. The Blackhawks are 20th. So they're all bundled together. The Rangers are 22nd. Detroit's 23rd. Minnesota's 25th. And Winnipeg's 30th. So we've got every team on the slate tonight is in the bottom half defensively of 5v5 expected goals against. Let's get to the Red Wings and the Rangers. Good news for the New York Rangers is I mentioned it off the top, Zach, 6-0 against the Red Wings in the last two seasons, 4-0 for Jonathan Quick, and they aren't playing in Madison Square Garden. So that is the biggest news of the night. The Rangers have gotten away from home ice, which is where they like to be, evidently, this year. They are still looking for their first win at Madison Square Garden. They have not scored very many goals at Madison Square Garden. In fact, they've been shut out 4 of 6 games, which is absolute madness. It almost seems impossible. But on the road, they've won 3 in a row. The offense has definitely been a lot better on the road. So for whatever reason, I think like I've talked about it a lot here with the New York Rangers. The underlying metrics are just absolutely spectacular. They are maybe a bit of a paper tiger, I guess, like because they just cannot convert. Every team in the league or every team on tonight's slate grades out in the bottom half of the league in terms of 5v5 expected goals for, except the New York Rangers, who are in the top 10. So there is like this team isn't going to be this bad forever. Like, I don't know what's going on. Artemi Panarin shaved his head and is like, next, I'm just going to switch sticks. Like, I'm just going to keep trying things until something breaks my way here because this team just can't find their mojo. But they're generating a lot of looks. We saw it the other night against Kochetkov. Like, they dominated the first two periods. Kochetkov was great. Like, this team's got enough firepower. They're going to score goals. I bet the Rangers last night. They were plus 100 overnight. That shifted a little bit. They are now sitting at plus 107 because Jonathan Quick got confirmed. But nonetheless, this is a good opportunity for the Rangers, obviously on the road. They shift in the lines again. Will Cooley, JT Miller, Alexis Lafreniere together at 14,900. They grade out fifth best. Really nice price tag for those three. Will Cooley will get moved up to the top power play unit tonight. The problem is that it is at the expense of Alexis Lafreniere, so you don't really get any additional power play correlation with that move, but it is something that helps one but hurts the other. Matchups in this game pretty low, pretty bad on both sides, but again, I do think that we talked about it. Every team on tonight's slate grades out in the bottom half of the league in expected goals against. So I think every team is in an okay spot tonight. The Rangers, you see it here, man. Like, these metrics are crazy good. They're super good. They just cannot score, and it's going to change eventually. So I'm interested in the entire Rangers top six tonight. If they burn me again, they burn me again. I am all about the data, and the data suggests that this team is getting unlucky, and I'm willing to buy low on them, as long as they're low owned, which they are tonight. On a 4-game slate, just seeing 6-7% on some of these guys. Just 6% on Panarin. I think it's crazy. So I'm super interested in the Rangers top six tonight, without a doubt. The power play tonight for both these sides, very, very poor. Both teams' penalty kills have been quite good. Both teams have been fairly disciplined as well. So that's the kind of one downside for this game. But the Rangers top six looks like it's in a good spot. On the flip side, the Red Wings top six is back to full health tonight. Patrick Kane will return. Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat, I've joked about it before. They seem to share a brain. DeBrincat, Kane, they've been great together. Marco Kasper been very unfortunate this year, a 33% IPP. So this is a line that's back together, looking to get going tonight. Again, matchups far from ideal, but the underlying metrics for this line, pretty good. 2.9 expected goals for is really solid. Not converting again, similar to what we saw last year, just being pretty unlucky. So I think this line getting back together, you obviously have Patrick Kane is going to help the power play tremendously as well. So I like the top sixes of the Detroit side of things here as well, but I do think I prefer the Rangers a little bit tonight. So I don't know how you feel about this one, Zach. Like, I do think the Rangers side is a little bit better, but obviously we've been burned before. How do you feel?
Yeah, I don't entirely know where to go here. I kind of like this Rangers side of things. We talk about them playing on the road versus playing at home, strong on the road this season. And I think this could be a good spot for Artemi Panarin, solely due to the fact that he's had a lot of success against Detroit in his career. Sorry about that, by the way. 25 games played, 16 goals, and 41 points. 1.6 points per game, averaging 15.4 DraftKings points per game without any of the bonuses included. So, I think for that reason, part of the reason that I like this top line here tonight, New York Rangers leading goal scorer Taylor Radish is up there on that top line today too. What a weird sentence to say. Evidently that hat trick really helped him out. So I don't mind getting to this game. I don't know if I'm going to have a ton of ownership in it, but I think it's worth sprinkling in on this top six. I really think that, New York 1, New York 2, Detroit 1, Detroit 2, it feels like they're in okay enough spots. I think the thing that kind of just worries me is, like, is there enough upside in this game for it to really win you this slate, right? That's kind of where my concern comes in. It might be the case. It has the second highest pace score of the night. Just a little bit worried about these matchups here, especially on this Rangers side of things. And it's not like it looks a whole lot better for the Red Wings side. They're really rough, and they're not a whole lot better on this Rangers side of things. So we'll see how much I get to this game when I actually start building here after the show. But I do think I got a bit of interest here.
The Red Wings just might be the skeleton key that we need to unlock the New York Rangers here. Dating back to 2 years ago, the Rangers, as I mentioned, they've won every game. They scored 5, 3, and 4 goals in their 3 meetings. And then last year, won all 3 and scored 4, 5, and 4. So they've scored at least 3, averaging probably, I don't know, quick math, like 4.5 goals per game against the Red Wings over the last 2 seasons. So maybe this is an arena that they like to go play in, because MSG certainly is not one. Let's get to the Flames and the Blackhawks.
Yeah, fascinating game here tonight between the host Calgary Flames and the visiting Chicago Blackhawks. Flames minus 153 home favorites on the money line here tonight. 3.3 implied total for them, 2.7 for Chicago. Calgary's top 6 grading out okay here within the charts tonight. Calgary 2 grading out as the number 7 line to target overall on that slate. Jonathan Huberdeau has been great since getting back in the lineup, really kind of helping lift this Calgary Flames team as a whole. Calgary 1 and Calgary 3 both grading out 10th and 13th overall. Chicago top 6, top line coming in number 15 overall, number 17 for Chicago 2. Massive ownership numbers on the Calgary Flames tonight. Shockingly high, maybe I dare say. Obviously the Flames feel like they've maybe turned a bit of a corner here, but I think Chicago's been a little bit better this season than people are giving them credit for. The expected goals against metrics are a little bit rough right now. But Spencer Knight has been really, really good this season. We've talked about this a lot on the show this year. 10 starts, 5 wins, quality starts in 70% of his starts, 14.7 goals saved above expected. What I find kind of fascinating in this game is that not only is this Calgary Flame side seeing a ton of ownership within the forward ranks. I mean, Calgary 1, 17%, Calgary 2, 13%, Calgary 3, 12.4%. Spencer Knight is also projected to be the highest owned goaltender at 20%.
Yeah, it's insane.
People are literally either playing Spencer Knight in their lineups or they're playing the Calgary Flames in their lineup. I think that makes it really fascinating here to maybe just come in a little lower owned in all of these spots for this game. For as good as Spencer Knight has been this season, he's 0-3 against the Calgary Flames. Mind you, all 3 of those starts came when he was with the Florida Panthers, which is kind of interesting as well. 2 losses in those games, 871 save percentage and a 3.9 goals against average. Evidently, Spencer Knight has looked, a lot better this year with Chicago than he has at any point in his career, including Chicago last year and even in Florida, playing in front of, much better hockey teams than he is right now. So I don't, because of that, I don't entirely know where to go. Chicago's not really seeing much ownership at all, under 5% for, that top line, 6% on line number 2. It's almost tempting to me to kind of just play this Chicago side a little bit as a potential chalkbuster option here. Connor Bedard obviously been having a really good start to the season this year, 2 goals and 5 points in 4 games played against the Flames in his career as well. Chicago's a bit of a plug your nose and pray sort of a team. But I don't mind this option as a potential here tonight to kind of bust up this slate a little bit. It's a really, really weird game, in terms of this ownership. Where is your head at here, Brock? Because I'm trying to kind of figure out exactly what's going on with these ownership numbers.
Yeah. Kind of a full circle moment here for us, right? A couple days ago, we were all over the Flames when the rest of the public wasn't, and the public was massively on the Blue Jacket side of things. But then now we've got it kind of flipping where everybody's on the Flames, and the matchup doesn't look as good as it did against the Blue Jackets the other night. I also think that team had a little bit of extra fire with Nazem Kadri's 1,000th career game. But this, the Flames worked okay the other night. But the problem is that even though they scored a ton of goals, the scoring was extremely spread out. And I think that could be the case yet again, where, they're not bad plays because they're so cheap. I will certainly get to a little bit here. A little bit of Calgary too, specifically. I feel good about that spot. I like Nazem Kadri. That second top line looks okay too. I will get there, but I'm certainly not going to meet this ownership. I'm going to come in well under the field. I don't really love this Flame side tonight at that ownership. I think that's bad chalk. On the flip side, I do think that to gain some leverage here, I'll probably end up over the field on Spencer Knight. He just feels like such a good play tonight. This is a Flames team that obviously has turned a corner a little bit, but I think this is a more than winnable game for Chicago. I think there's a world in which Spencer Knight is the best goalie on the slate tonight. And yeah, like the ownership be damned a little bit here. I'm not that concerned about it if I'm fading some of that Calgary chalk. So yeah, I think you kind of just got to pick one of two sides here. Either you're all in on Calgary and you're off of Spencer Knight, or you're all in on Spencer Knight and you're off of Calgary. That's the way at least I'm looking at this one. And I feel better about the Spencer Knight side of things than I do the Flames at that ownership. I think he's better chalk than they are, for sure. In terms of the 5v5, or sorry, the natural static, sports logic data, Calgary grading out with the second lowest implied total tonight on the slate. Detroit's the lowest. So just another reason why I've probably got a little bit more interest in Spencer Knight than I do the Flame side of things. But you mentioned it. I think that the Chicago side of things is okay. This is a Flames team that, once again, like has not performed very well defensively. It's third worst in the league in terms of 5v5 expected goals against. The Chicago Blackhawks side of things, I was sorted by goals for. The Calgary Flames are middle of the pack. Chicago is also kind of middle of the pack, but the Blackhawks have been fine offensively, right? We've said the second line's coming around a little bit. I still feel better about that top line. The underlying metrics suggest the top line is the play. So I'll get to that top line a little bit, but once again, like I think that I'm a lot more interested in some of these other games than I am in this one as a whole. And I hope Spencer Knight plays well, and I hope it's low scoring because that will be good news for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like even in the betting markets, like Calgary and the over is getting ridiculous steam tonight. 75% of the public money's on the Flames. 90% of the public money's on over 6 goals tonight. So I do agree with you here. Like it feels like just kind of getting over the field on Spencer Knight's the play. And then just kind of hoping that it works out here the otherwise. Like I'll probably have a little bit of Calgary too, but like, the power play is in an okay spot, but it doesn't look the best. They're really not doing a whole lot with the man advantage. So it doesn't really feel like you can attack the Flames from that perspective and get exposure to multiple lines at once or anything like that. So I do think you kind of nailed it here, Brock.
Yeah, I mean all the money coming in on the over and the Blackhawks makes me feel less confident for sure, but DFS is a little bit of a different beast. It's all about pricing, and Spencer Knight is certainly affordable. CFL fan says Parekh running power play 1. I mean, we haven't projected there for, right now. Whenever he's in the lineup, he seems to be on the top power play. And I think he's obviously a good value, as is basically the entire Flames roster. But you talked about the ownership a little bit in this game. The Flames defensemen are the 2 of the 3 highest owned defensemen on the slate too. So just incredible ownership coming in on the Flames tonight. It doesn't feel like the best chalk ever. Let's get to the Sharks and the Winnipeg Jets. I talked about it. I think that the Jets are going to be a better defensive team with Adam Lowry and Dylan Sandberg back. They've got one of those 2 names back, but they're on the road tonight, so they can't match up Adam Lowry anyway. I think that this, I've been kind of off this Sharks train because it hasn't, like the underlying metrics aren't great. But tonight the matchups are superb, and I'm in. This is a Jets team that's not performed well defensively. The matchup numbers here for the Sharks have just been unbelievable, or are unbelievable, and that top line has just been unbelievable. Celebrini's been an absolute dog. I absolutely love watching this kid play hockey. $7,500, still very affordable. His line made super cheap. Will Smith, 4,800 to Foley, 53. I love full stacking this line. I love Celebrini one-offs. I'm certainly going to get there this evening. The rest of the Sharks lineup doesn't leave a lot to be desired. I don't mind Phil Kurashev at $3,300. He's pretty decent shot volume, but again, I'm mostly just in on this top line, and that's it. I think the same thing can be said about the Jets side of things too. The Jets grade out just ridiculous tonight. I'll show you here how good the Jets grade out, and we do have a flow chart here at the DFO fantasy DFS hockey report. We also talk about it in the Discord all the time. If they are going to be, if it looks like the Jets are going to smash, they're probably a fade. If it looks like the Jets are not going to smash, they're probably a play. Maybe that's not the case this year because they've been smashing almost every game, and then they looked like they were a fade the other night, and they were a fade. So maybe things have changed. If you take a look at 5v5 score, you almost never see a 100% 5v5 score. They're 100% of the 5v5 score. You take a look at the power play expected goals tonight, not even close, lapping the field. You take a look at the line projection tonight, not even close, lapping the field. 22,900, sure, it's expensive. There's lots of value on tonight's slate. I think that they are as good of a play as possible tonight. So, yeah, flowchart be damned. I'm in on this line. The ownership is shockingly palpable. I thought they were for sure going to be the highest on line on the slate, even at this price tag. They are not. Alex Nedeljkovic is not very good. So, yeah, I think this game is going to be fun. I like both teams' top lines a lot. I have a lot more interest in eating some of this chalk than I do the Flames. That being said, pairing the Flames with Winnipeg 1 is one easy build to get to tonight. It's obviously going to be very popular. So trying to find some different lines to pair with the Jets, I think, makes a lot of sense tonight, because everyone's going to be like, oh, yeah, look how easy Winnipeg 1 and Calgary 2 fit together. So, yeah, matchup scores above average here for the Jets. The underlying metrics, very, very good. This is a team that, or a line that, was kind of just relying on the power play. The 5v5 numbers have come back to life a little bit, which not surprising. They play a shitload. They have the number 1 power play advantage tonight. They have the 4th best power play going up against a 31st ranked PK. I mean, everything coming up Jets here. And yeah, like they make it pretty easy for us. Like the rest of the lines on both of these teams literally suck. They're terrible. So I don't think I need, like, look at these underlying metrics. Like, they're awful. So top line or bust for me on both sides of the puck. I obviously feel better about the Jets than the Sharks, but while Celebrini's hot and the Jets are playing poor defensively, I'm in. So what are your thoughts here? That build is going to be insanely popular, both Calgary 1 and Calgary 2 with Winnipeg 1. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's going to be ridiculously popular. So I don't mind the idea of Spencer Knight with Winnipeg 1 to try to offset and get some leverage on those insanely popular Calgary and Winnipeg builds that are going to just be flooding in on the optimizers tonight. I just want to pull up the value here in terms of what are the two best value lines. Obviously, it's Winnipeg 1, yeah, Calgary 1, New York 2 grades out really well. Like, that is an interesting one to me, right? Like, New York 2 and Winnipeg 1 makes a lot of sense to me. Detroit 1 probably won't fit, but New York 3, like, those are the lines that you're going to try to have to get a little different with tonight when you're playing the Jets. So what are your thoughts here on this game? You've been a little bit more open to playing the Sharks despite the ugly underlying metrics. I'm assuming you're going back to the well here.
Yeah, I'm going to be very heavy on these top 2 lines. Probably my 2 highest owned lines on the slate tonight. It feels like this game has the highest, offensive potential next to that Islanders Minnesota Wild game. Obviously, Connor Hellebuck is the biggest block here, I suppose you could say, to the Sharks having success tonight. But it feels like they've been able to get to him in the past. I'm just going to see if I can pull up his game log against them as I kind of ramble on here. But I'll be just totally blunt. Like, Winnipeg 1 is going to be my highest owned line tonight, and San Jose 2 might be my second highest owned line. They both have been so good this season.
San Jose 2 or San Jose 1?
Oh, sorry, San Jose 1. My apologies. Thank you for correcting me there. It just feels like an absolute lock. And, like we're, chat's kind of talking about too, like, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to get to any of these Winnipeg, Calgary builds and just try and figure out a way to kind of get off of some of this chalk that we're going to be seeing. Because, again, with the way the pricing is on this slate tonight, it feels almost too easy to kind of get there. Connor Hellebuck has been tremendous against the Sharks in his career. That has gone on for a number of years. But it is worth mentioning last year in the 3 games played, they were all wins for him, but a 907 save percentage and a 234 goals against average. Those are bad numbers comparative to what's he's done in the past against them. But again, it's a bit of a different Winnipeg Jets team this year than it has in years past. I'll probably have some Hellebuck ownership in lineups that I'm not playing the Sharks tonight, just in case, it ends up being a Hellebuck kind of a night. But, with how hot this San Jose Sharks team has been offensively as of late, it just feels like another one of these absolute smash spots here for both Winnipeg 1 and for San Jose 1.
Yeah, I think I think the Jets are certainly, or Hellebuck is certainly a interesting play tonight, because I do think there's a world in where, the Sharks don't have a great night and Hellebuck just does this normal thing. 3rd highest owned goalie on the slate, highest implied win percentage. Maybe they're cleaning things up a little bit defensively. He's only faced 24 and 25 shots in his last 2 starts. Granted, those were against the Blackhawks and the Kings, two kind of struggling offenses. But the Sharks, not necessarily like the greatest offense in the world. Just they got Macklin Celebrini, who just kind of goes nutty from time to time. So those are line stack. Let's get to the defensemen and the goalies before we get you out of here for the weekend. We've got Matthew Schaefer, great now, is the number 1 value defenseman on the slate, continues to do so. Dmitry Orlov, we talked about it, just seems to do a little bit of everything while he's on the ice, including pick up many an assist. No surprise, the Flames defensemen do grade out well. You got Weegar at 4,700. You got Anderson at 4,500. I'm assuming Zane Parekh is around here somewhere. No, he actually grades out terrible. But he's just $2,900 at 7% ownership. I I think there is an avenue here tonight for some of these other Flames defensemen to make some sense. Kevin Ball is a game time decision tonight, so Kuznetsov could move up with Anderson. You could see a few more minutes. Hanley should see a few more minutes. Parekh should see a few more minutes. So there's an avenue if Ball misses tonight that some of these value defensemen that aren't super high owned like Weegar and Anderson open up a little bit. Just trying to think, like, who do we really want to play tonight? Like, I like the Islanders, so I like Schaefer. I like the Jets, so I like Morrissey. I think those are two really nice pay up options tonight. I don't mind. I've been getting a Pionk with some regularity. I don't mind paying down for Romanov. He's 3,100, I believe it is. I know he's high owned tonight, but I've been playing him a lot because he blocks a ton of shots in what should be a high event game. Don't mind getting there at all either. Lev Shunov. Where's Lev Shunov? He's just $2,700 with no ownership. He replaced Sam Rinzel on the Blackhawks top power play the other night. So if you're going to get to like Bedard and company, Lev Shunov's a really nice value option. Really talented young defenseman. Replace Sam Rinzel on PP1. Another option for you there. Anybody that sticks out to you, my friend?
Yeah, I think Dmitry Orlov's a really interesting play at 3K. Up there on that top pairing right now. He's playing with that top six. So, I think he's an interesting guy who's a little lower owned than John Klingberg is. To partner up with San Jose one stacks. Matthew Schaefer also works with the Islanders third line. Obviously, you're giving up some power play correlation there, but that's the pairing that he's played the most with Pajot or as a proxy for that third line. Tony DeAngelo also works with that Islanders third line. I'm just trying to find ways to kind of get a little bit different in these stacks tonight, right? Mario Ferraro at $2,600. Why is his price so low? He blocks shots. Like, I think he's a guy who's a great play at 2,600.
In a high event game, like I said it the other night, like in those low event games, you don't play Mario Ferraro, but in a game where they might get dominated, where they're going to spend a lot of time in the defensive zone and he's going to stand in front of 400 pucks tonight, $2,600 Mario Ferraro is like the easiest play of all time.
Absolutely. And I think he would work great in Winnipeg one lines as well, or stacks with Winnipeg one, right? Because, you're going to have that correlation there with the shot block volume and Winnipeg one and what looks like that high event kind of a game. So that's a great way to kind of bring the price down and maybe find some ways to fit in some other more expensive stacks that aren't necessarily Calgary. But yeah, it looks like another fascinating night on the blue line. I think I'm probably going to have some of these higher price guys. Like I'll have a little bit of Schaefer. I don't know if I'm going to have much Weegar, probably a little bit of Anderson, definitely a bit of Josh Morrissey, but I kind of like the idea of punting off on defensemen here tonight, especially considering, Winnipeg one is one of my most, probably my favorite stack on the night. And given their price, $22,900, they're pretty expensive. Oh yeah. And San Jose one is the third most expensive line on the slate as well. So targeting some of these cheaper guys on the blue line is probably my route tonight.
Let's get to the goalies. We talked about him a little bit already. Connor Hellebuyck, most expensive. Also the best, the highest projection, Hellebuyck, $8,400. Dustin Wolf coming in at $8,200. Riddick, $8K. Talbot, 76. Quick, 78. Knight, 72. Wallstead, 74. And Nedeljkovic, $7,000. I think for me, it's a lot of Hellebuyck. It's a lot of Quick. Maybe a little bit of Talbot as well. If those scoring woes continue for the Rangers, and then Knight. Those would be my four goalies tonight.
Nice. Hellebuyck, definitely one for me. Spencer Knight, definitely number two for me. I'm actually going to get a little bit different. Say David Riddick is number three for me. He has tremendous career numbers against Minnesota. 6 games played, 5 wins, a shutout, 211 goals against average, and a .935 save percentage. I think he's a really interesting play at 8K tonight. And then, Jonathan Quick, I think he looks like he's in a good spot as well.
Let's get to the hat trick pick challenge. I have to jet today. I don't have as much time to stick around as I normally do. So we're going to save the raffles or the wheel spins until Monday. But before we do, Shannon says, hello, gents. Did anyone else get screwed last night? And I'm assuming he missed the start of the show because I did not. I did not get screwed. It was a good night finally. So happy to be here. Klingberg drags down San Jose 1. Yeah, I mean, he's John Klingberg. He's old. I like the Isles tonight, but what do you think of a Minnesota power play stack? Why are they so low owned? Yeah, we talked about at the start of the show. Absolutely love the Minnesota Wild power play stack. Who's your hat trick pick tonight, Zach?
Low-hanging fruit, Kyle Connor.
Oh, damn, that's what I was gonna do. I put him on the thumbnail. I should never let you go first like that. That's rude. Okay. In that case, give me Mika Zibanejad. I like the Rangers tonight. As much as like I know that's a bad thing to say as a Red Wings fan, like sometimes my DFS picks go terribly, so I like to pick against the Red Wings just to kind of like put it out there that my picks are shit, and I hope the Red Wings then just shut them out. But yeah, give me Mika Zibanejad. If you want to participate in today's hat trick pick challenge, all you gotta do is drop your hat trick pick in the comment section of the video on YouTube. If your player scores a hat trick, we'll get you a $25 gift card to Nation Gear. You can pick up some daily face-off swag like this hat right here. If anybody scores a hat trick that nobody picked, we'll just raffle it off to anybody that submitted a pick. And then on Monday, like I said, didn't have enough time today, but on Monday, anybody who participates in the live chat will be entered to win a $25 gift card as well. So good luck tonight. Hopefully we can keep the train rolling on my side of the street. What are the best lines in order? Well, they're here. But in terms of my order, love Winnipeg 1, love Minnesota. I don't love Minnesota 1. I love Minnesota power play. Winnipeg 1, Minnesota power play. I like the Islanders top line a lot. Sharks top line solid. I like the Rangers top 6 quite a bit. So that would be it for me. Pretty low hanging fruit there when I just read the charts. But how about you?
For me, Winnipeg 1, New York 1, San Jose 1, and New York 3. New York 3 is my favorite value option on the slate tonight.
Get the hoodie, can recommend. Yeah, DFO hoodies are legit. One of mine I got robbed last year. One of my backpacks got stolen out of my buddy's truck, and it had a daily face-off sweater. So I always joke like there can't be many people in this neighborhood with daily face-off sweaters. So if I ever see somebody walking down the street with it, I'm just gonna have to call the cops or beat them up, one of the two. Ryan Donato Hattie. Drop it in the comment section, not the live chat. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Smash that like button. Shout out to our friends at rotogrinders.com for providing projected ownership for today's show. If you want to get $20 off your first month of RotoGrinders Premium, all you got to do is click the link in the description of the video on YouTube. We'll get you $20 off your first month. We also have a 20% off coupon to Action Network if you want to up your betting game, Action Network Premium. And then the link to the DFO DFS Discord. Come on in, join the fun. We talk DFS all the time. We also share all the lines to make sure you don't miss a thing. Shit, hopefully Brock doesn't move to Vancouver. Don't want to be randomly attacked in the streets. I don't plan on it anytime soon, but good luck. Never say never. Okay, that's going to do it. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe. We'll see you on Monday.
Cheers.